We're joined by Audacy NFL insider Brian Baldinger every Wednesday at this time, host of the Audacy original podcast In the Huddle with Jason Lock and Carl News, covering the entire NFL. As Baldy joins you now here in the GBag Nation. And a good afternoon, sir. How the heck are you?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. Good to be with you.
Yes, sir. It is great to be talking about this division right now. It's so much fun to talk about how this might play out. And I guess Eagles haters are saying they've been lucky, Baldy. What do you got to say about that?
Well, I saw them last week against Buffalo. I was there announcing the game for national radio. And, you know, sometimes you make your own luck. Their kicker is really good, kicked a 59-yarder to get it into overtime. The quarterback is just irrepressible. Like, nothing can keep that guy down. I wouldn't say they're lucky. I'd say that they make a lot of their own breaks. They've come back from these deficits many times this year, and they continue to do it.
The analytics say they don't look like the best team in football. What do you say about that angle?
Well, what analytics are you looking at? I mean, there's a million of them.
There are.
So,
yeah.
I mean, the only analytics really is, you know, they're 10-1,
yeah, and
they're in the driver's seat for, you know, home field advantage. But I mean, you can make these analytics do whatever you want them to do. They've got some great players. They got a good scheme. They're excellent in the red zone. Defensively, they're not very good. They give up a lot of yards, but they're playing a lot of young players and new players. And so you got to allow Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Sidney Brown, you got to read Blankenship. You got to let these guys kind of play and, you know, figure things out a little bit. You know, you're gonna go through some ups and downs, but they keep finding a way, and I think that's the ultimate thing that every coach wants their team to do.
Yeah, Baldy, I think they're clearly better than the Cowboys. I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. But I think, you know, for me, what it comes down to is their ability to just get first downs on short yardage. And whatever the analytics could say, that's a trump card against those when you are as good as the Eagles are everywhere.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, you know, sometimes it's the longest yard on these Sundays, and teams can't convert. They can't sustain. They can't score. But let's face it, I mean, the Eagles are going through a gauntlet right now. You know, you go Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo. I mean, that's a tough stretch. In San Francisco on Sunday and Dallas next week, they knew it was going to be a tough stretch. And, you know, all these things, all these games, regardless of what happens on Sunday or next Sunday, all these games are shaping you and shaping these teams for the postseason. And sometimes you got to get battle tested. And I think the Eagles are getting battle tested here, and they'll learn from the wins. I think they'll learn a lot. I mean, they won a game without Dallas Goedert and Lane Johnson. I mean, they're two of their best offensive players.
Yeah.
And Jalen, you know, look, Josh Allen was awesome on Sunday. I don't know if he could play a whole lot better, and yet they've still found a way to win it.
What are you thinking about this matchup with Philly and San Francisco? There's so many interesting storylines. I can't wait to watch the Niners defense along with that the Eagles offense with Lane Johnson now hopefully back. We were just talking about who do you think is going to win this football game. We're pretty split. What do you think as you've been studying the tape?
I mean, San Francisco looks more complete to me. They start fast. Their defense is playing fast. They've got, you know, since Chase Young came on board, it just seems either they're covering better, but they've got 15 sacks and 28 quarterback hits in the last 3 weeks. They took Seattle apart. They took Jacksonville apart. They've had good opponents. And they went on the road to beat both those teams, and the games were never close, ever. And so they look like they're on a mission. And outside of the safety, Talanoa Hufanga, they're very healthy. The 49ers just look more complete to me right now, but when you get to South Philly and that crowd and that field, things can change a little bit. So they'll be tested, but I would say the 49ers are just a little bit more complete right now.
Baldy, this Dallas Cowboys offensive line the last couple of weeks has looked outstanding when it comes to the pass protection. Has the tape shown that for you? And really, what are they doing differently that maybe they didn't do early in the season when they had some struggles with some continuity?
Well, I mean, Tyron Smith is looking like Tyron Smith. I mean, he's just a vice grip out there at left tackle. And, you know, Tyler Smith has been able to just stay at one position this year. And so I think he's settling in. And then I think Tyler Biadasz, I think he's just improved. I think he's just an improved player. He spent a lot of time with Duke Manyweather in the offseason. He just looks stronger, more complete right now. Zach is on his game, and Terrence Steele is just a great, he's just a great story. A free agent, he's a battler, and so I don't feel like Dallas needs to commit a whole lot more to protection right now. Outside of teams come with max blitzes and whatnot, but I feel like those 5 can hold up against the other team's 4 or 5, and so I think Dak is well protected. And when he does move, he's really moving with a purpose, and it's not like sometimes I thought Dak would almost sack himself sometimes or be just a little too frenetic, but he's really very, very measured in where he's going and where his eyes are and where he's going with the ball. He hasn't been easily fooled this year, and so he's playing a lot better as a result of the protection, I think.
Baldy, is the tape there? It looks like perimeter run game seems to be the avenue that the Cowboys are taking right now. Is that something that is sustainable for them, and how do you like them going that route?
Well, I mean, it's good to have a good perimeter game, but you got to be able to attack teams in different ways depending on who your opponent is. And so I believe you got to have a well-rounded run game. I think you got to mix in powers along with your outside zones and misdirections and cutbacks. I mean, I think you have to work on all those things. I don't think you can just rely, because at some point you'll find a team that's just going to shut that down. And what are you going to do? And so I feel like you have to train yourself to be as versatile as you possibly can be during the regular season, so that when you get to the postseason and somebody is very good at shutting down the outside perimeter runs, just because of their force or the way they tackle or the way they set the edge, whatever it might be, that you have another avenue, another option to go to.
It's Brian Baldinger, Audacy NFL insider, with us. We saw the Shaq Leonard up there today. He's thinking about it. Are you hearing anything from your sources on which way he's leaning?
I hear he's leaning towards the Cowboys. I know players on the Eagles that are heavily trying to recruit him. Sure. They need him. They lost Zach Cunningham last week. They've been losing linebackers all year. I hear he's favoring the Cowboys at this point. I know he's a little measured about this thing. Wants to make the right decision. I know this: whoever gets him, they're going to be a better team. He's a great teammate. He's a very instinctive, talented player. He's coming back from major injury, so I don't know exactly where he's at. He's been playing, but I think he could improve both rosters right now, especially with what the news about Leighton is. And, I think the Cowboys like what they're doing right now with Marquise Bell, but I think, when you go against some bigger teams and some teams that are a little bit more powerful, you might want to have that option of playing 2 linebackers inside.
Baldy, from what we're hearing about Aaron Rodgers, is this amazing? Is this and if you were the Jets front office, how would you handle this situation going forward? Well,
I mean, they can't protect any quarterback that's back there right now. I've never seen a more injured offensive line over the last 3 years than the Jets. They can't keep a guy healthy. And so they're playing guys that really are practice squad players. And there's no continuity up there. If I was Aaron Rodgers and I was watching how leaky they are right now, I'd be real worried about coming back. I feel like he thinks, and his approach is, he feels like he owes the organization an awful lot. He feels like he lets them down. I'm not speaking for him.
Right.
I'm just on the outside looking in. I just feel like he probably feels like he's let this whole thing down. There was such a big buzz. I was out there a bunch in preseason. I do stuff for the Jets throughout the year, so I'm up there. And, it was just such a downer that I think he just said, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get back. And if I can help this team win, I will. But, it's 3 months out right now. It's still very early to see. I know they put him on the 21-day window, which is fine. But, look, they're playing a quarterback. Honestly, I don't know if he's an NFL quarterback, and so they benched their starter. He's at number 3. I don't know that they have a quarterback on the roster that's an NFL quarterback right now. And they have an offensive line that can't protect one if they did. So, until they get healthy up front, if I was Aaron Rodgers, I'd be a little tepid about actually stepping back on the field if he gets cleared to do so.
Baldy, I was wondering your thoughts on Tom Brady and saying the current NFL product is mediocre, as somebody who, of course, played in it in a much more physical era, but then also studies it as well as anybody right now. Certainly other people have come out and either voiced their opinion and saying that they agree or disagree. I wonder where you lay on that.
Well, you saw, a 40-0 win against the Giants week 1. We saw that awful Black Friday game with the Jets in Miami. If you don't have a good offensive line and a proven quarterback, you could be one of those teams that just lays stinkers on Sundays. And if you go up against a really good team like Dallas, or Miami, if you go up against, you're just going to get games that are almost unwatchable right now. Now, if you get great quarterbacks and really good teams like Buffalo and Philadelphia last week, you can't leave your TV for a second. It's just that entertaining. And we've seen a bunch of those games, but we've seen a bunch of stinkers. And I think Tom's sitting back as a fan watching some of this stuff going, this is a diluted product. We don't have enough good quarterbacks. We can't keep offensive lines healthy. And the result is we get some tremendous mismatches on Sunday. I think that's a lot of it. And, some of the offensive line stuff he's talking about is, it's hard to become a better offensive line. It's hard to be a good left guard if you can't practice being a left guard. Mm-hmm. And you really can't practice being a left guard in a pair of shorts, and a winter cap. And that's kind of what these teams are doing to practice right now. So his point is well taken. And teams around the league feel it, especially teams that look, Cowboys are healthy this year, but they weren't last year. And the result was Dak was a mess. And now he looks fixed because the line has been healthy. And, they've got good players up front. But it's hard to play quarterback in this league behind leaky offensive lines. And I think Tom is speaking a great deal about that aspect of it right now.
It's Brian Baldinger here with us. It sounds like you got a pretty nice little motor there under the hood, Baldy. What are you driving around the streets of Philly right now?
It's a good car, man. It's a good driving automobile, let's say that.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit of Cowboys here with you. Getting some mismatches. You talk about those mismatches. Holy cow, the average margin in their wins is 30 points, but they don't have the quality wins. How do you look at a team that has gotten to this late in the season, not beating a playoff team, and set expectations for their next 5 games are going to be tough?
Well, I mean, that's the next 5 games is basically going to prepare them for whatever playoffs, seed they get. They still have a chance for number 1 seed if they beat the Eagles and 49ers take care of business. They have an outside shot. But regardless, they're going to have that opportunity to go get quality wins, and they mean a lot. Now, they played really well against Philadelphia on a Sunday night, but they didn't win it. So, it looks like some of the issues they had early in the year, which were, the red zone was the dead zone for a number of weeks. That looks like it's getting fixed. They look a little bit more creative, and they're responding a lot better down there. That's good. It would be, good to see Tony Pollard just have, a really great game all the way around. That would probably make everybody feel a lot better in Dallas. But they're going to get tested. That end of the schedule is no joke. And so either they're going to continue to make their layups and keep struggling against the better teams, or they're going to find a way to beat these better teams and feel a lot better about being prepared for the playoffs this year.
Talking about Dak, you just mentioned him. It seems like we've talked a lot about how this offense has looked so much better post-bye week, post that 49ers game. What are some of the differences that you've seen? It seems like they're really pushing the ball downfield a lot more, vertically, the motion. Is McCarthy just kind of changed the way he's play calling right now and trusting Dak more? I wonder, when you've been watching this, what stood out to you?
Well, I think they've got more people involved. I mean, obviously Jake Ferguson has really come on. And I thought they were almost playing without a tight end early in the year, but he's really developed. Brandon Cooks has become a part of the offense the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he was a little bit invisible for a while. And so while, CD carried him for a long time, and if he gets man coverage like he got against Philly, he'll destroy teams. He's just that good. But it looks like they've got a lot more options to go to right now. They're getting more guys involved, and I think Dak is seeing the field really, really well right now.
Baldy, with what Daron Bland has been able to do, and it looked like the Commanders went after him a little bit in that football game last week. Is that what they're going to probably see more of, or is like, listen, you keep going after him, you're going to give up pick sixes.
Well, I mean, he's a cluer. They play a lot of man coverage, obviously, but a lot of guys in man coverage, they never look at the quarterback. They never see the flight of the ball. He has the ability to do all of it.
Yeah.
And so he's getting these tremendous jumps on these out routes. The play the week before where he came across the formation and made the play, tumbled, got up off his feet, and finished it in the end zone was amazing. I think that was Carolina, but that's an amazing play.
Mm-hmm.
He's a gambler, which is good. Sometimes it's you get the right receiver out there and they double move you or whatever. You might have to lick your wounds a little bit, but regardless, he's been just absolutely amazing. And we saw some of it last year, but we've seen it at a whole different level this year. And to have 12 interceptions in a short period of time and the touchdowns that he has, I don't care who it's against.
Yeah.
It's eye-opening, and it's got everybody's attention. And if it continues, then you have to.
Too fast.
You have to think that he's a candidate for the Defensive Player of the Year.
Right on, Baldy. We love your thoughts as always. Enjoy the rest of the ride. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys. Take care, man.